Well, I guess, yeah, we'll get started anyway. Um, so everyone's here obviously about the texting through CCC. Um, just going to give you a kind of a rundown of what I've been doing the past couple of years. Um, it is pretty helpful as far as keeping customers updated throughout the repair process. You do have to be a little careful on dates, um, just to, not under promise something and not paying attention to it. So, I guess what I'll do is kind of start, kind of do the rundown of what I do typically, when we write an estimate, as we set them up and kind of throughout the process. So this screen I'm sharing right now. What I'll usually do, we'll write, say it's a walk-in estimate. We write the estimate, go over the dates of the customer. From here, I'll usually ask the customer as I'm scheduling them whether they want to get updated through email or text. And right here, I'm sure, as everyone knows, you've seen this because you do have to select usually call or email or text right here. And I'll usually select it on what their preference is, whether it's email or text right there. You need to kind of do this typically either when you're reviewing the job for the customer as a tow-in, maybe when you're first starting it there, or when you're scheduling the customer, because it's not going to immediately do this. If you decide to say, I want to text this person right this second, and I didn't have this set up ahead of time, it's not going to immediately do this. It usually takes, I think they said about like 24 hours typically to kind of kick in. So once I've scheduled, say this Lori Smith, she selected that she'd rather be emailed for updates. So I put this in, obviously finish up whatever you need to do for the estimate to lock and finalize it, ship it over to Autoprise. And then from there, you're kind of done. So obviously, as far as scheduling goes, you're all set there. And then pretty much nothing's really going to happen until about the time the customer actually drops the vehicle off. They won't get any updates. They're not going to get any text or emails until they actually drop the vehicle off. And this section right here is grayed out. So once you grayed out that vehicle in section, at that point, the customer will start getting some text or email updates. And they're all automated. You can do your own on top of those or additionally, but these are all automated through CCC. And they're all based off your dates that you put in here. So obviously she came in on the 27th. Um, we are projected to, have her out on Wednesday, October 9th. So all of the dates and all of the comments and everything, text, emails that she's getting are all based on that. So if you go to your notes section over here in this little tab, you're going to see that she initially gets, her initial update on the 27th, pretty much saying that, hey, she's allowed Moody's to send her update statuses through either email or text, which obviously she's on email. You can kind of see on the left-hand side that she is getting the updates through her email right there, just in case you're second guessing it. And as you can kind of see throughout the dates, they send it to her probably every few days. It also depends on the length of the job. If the job's kind of in here for a month, or the dates are based on a month, obviously the repair updates aren't going to be like an every other day thing. They are going to be spread out throughout the repair process. So these are, if you read through these, these are pretty general. These are what every customer is going to be getting. Hey, your Ford is underway. We look forward to seeing you in about 9 days. And just, you might get the same kind of thing as you go. And then obviously it's still based off that delivery date over in this event screen of what you're putting in here. So the customer will continue to get these. The biggest thing you really want to watch out for is obviously if you don't put, I guess, an promise date that's not realistic, or that you've now come to the point where you've hit this promise date and passed this promise date, you potentially might be having a customer coming in and say, wondering why their vehicle isn't isn't done yet. So, sorry, just reading through the comments. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. So Dave's asking, so if you change the ECD, does the customer automatically get updated? Yes. So if you change this ECD, this promise date right here, the customer will get updated saying, hey, your vehicle now has been changed from a promise date of October, what was this one, October 9th, to now say we bumped it to October 12th. They will get that date. So they will get a text and or email saying that they did get an updated date of what their new completion date is. And that's what I was kind of getting to too. So you do have to pay attention to this date. You know, you go through a production meeting and you know that this vehicle is not going to make it out on the 9th. Just so your customers not continuing to get those updated texts saying, hey, your vehicle's ready for the 9th, you do want to go in and change this so that they are getting the correct information and correct updates. And so they don't show up at your off stores wondering why the car isn't done. So, um, and you can also, once you're in here too, so say I want to update Lori with something a little more specific, myself. So all you'd have to do is hit contact customer right here. And right here, you can pretty much select, she's already selected for send an email. I can't text her at this point because she's already opted for email. But you click send an email, subject, whatever that is, and then you can just type your message saying, hey, Lori, we found such and such broken on your car. These are the additional parts we had to order, for instance, or whatever it is, and hit send. That's same thing with text message too. So if she was already set up for text message, that would be the same thing that it would just automatically say text. You'd send in your message, and then it would send it right back off to her. They can also email and or text back into the system too. I tried to find some files that did have real quick that they had written back, but I couldn't find any. But there are, for instance, some customers will ask a question. It will go right into this area right here where all the updates are, and it'll show a email or text from, say, Lori, asking, what's going on with the car, or thank you, or whatever it is.
Do you get a CCC1 notification that something has?
You do. So you'll get a CCC1 notification that someone sent a message, and you'll also get an email typically saying, hey, Lori Smith sent you a message, update through CCC. At that point, the little pop-up will pop up that you can click on, so it'll load you right into CCC at that point. And you can view the comment, and you can reply back to it if you need to too. Yeah, I tried to think what else. And then I guess it will on the other side. So these notes saved in CCC when updating Autoprise is okay to put a note in saying customer update. Yeah, so I'll typically, what you can do, Dave, as far as if you want to update, obviously, if you want to update your customer notes in Autoprise, you can just right click on this right here, say this note right here, right click on it, and just copy and paste it right into your Autoprise. So that way, I'd say you probably might be better off doing it that way. That way, if someone else in your office is reading, what you updated, at least they know what the comment is that got updated with, rather than just putting updates in CCC. Makes it pretty quick and easy. And then especially if you do your own specific text, you can just easily copy and paste this in Autoprise, which makes it pretty easy. Another thing that once you've done this event log date, say her car is getting finished today, we hit the now, hit OK, and then obviously gray out this repair completion date. It will then, after you've kind of saved and closed the file, it might take a couple minutes, but it'll then generate a text or email to this customer saying, hey, your car has been completed. Moody's should be following up with a phone call and such and such. So that will generate another text or email, like I said, as soon as you do this repair completion date. And then also with this promise date and vehicle out date, once they pick up, I think they will get a separate one saying, hey, your vehicle's been picked up. Thank you for being our customer, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember exactly the lingo, but yeah, they should get that second one and then it'll also come with typically the survey that like USAA and some of the other insurance companies send out asking for how the repair process went for them. So, yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, the biggest thing is you need to do this ahead of time. You need to talk to the customer when you're scheduling them, and or if it was a tow-in, you need to be doing that at the time of the estimate explanation, because it's not an instant thing.
So it's a conversation you have, not Adrienne.
Right, yeah, us as the estimator would have this as we schedule the customer. You know, when I select these dates that Mrs. Smith is coming in, you know, I'll ask, hey, Lori, would you rather be updated by email and or text? Just to make sure that way she or kind of approves it. So like I said, if I decided that if I had this, for instance, had this put on call, like probably a lot of you do for your updates, and at this moment I decided I wanted to send her a text or email through CCC, and I changed this, it will not happen right now. It might happen tomorrow at that point, it'll allow me to do it, but it won't happen like this afternoon.
What's that first text look like from CCC? Is it a yes, no, that they have to opt in?
I thought originally, thought they had to be kind of opting in, but it's mostly just, if you can see the screener here, it kind of shows, Lori, Moody's Collision is sending your status updates and survey. To opt out, click unsubscribe below.
So you
So
usually just let them know.
yeah, I'll let them know that they'll be getting something initially, but this is pretty much, she doesn't get this until the first day she drops off, and we actually grade out this first initial event right here. And then she'll get that first initial update. So just letting her know that, hey, we are sending her a text and or email. I typically will have that conversation with them to see which one they prefer, and then let them know we would be sending them something, just so they're not surprised when they all of a sudden get a random text from us. Do you know if the customer is notified of the repair date, or does that have to be locked in CCC for that to happen? So we've started to play around with this a little bit. I don't know how far we want to go into it, but I've started doing this a little bit because it was somewhat new, that we can start sending repair reminders, especially if you've selected the customer to be updated by text or email. So that way they will notify the customer, I guess it's an hour before they drop the car off. So for instance, right here, you would go up to new and you go down to appointment. Get the screen up here. And right here, so you can do it for estimate or repair. We haven't dove into this too hard, so I've only done it, I've just started since we kind of did a webinar with CCC a couple weeks ago, started doing this in some of the repairs. So you can click repair. So for instance, obviously she's already arrived, but you know, I have her coming in, say 9:27 to 8 a.m. And then right here, customers preference was email right here. And then this will send Lori an email an hour before she's coming in to remind her of her repair appointment. I don't, from what we understand, you can't change the time frame of that, as far as, you know, it can't be the day before or whatever you decide. It's only an hour, which sometimes may not be the best, but that's kind of is what it is, I guess. So I figured it was probably better than nothing. But yes, you can send them that reminder. So I have started to try this. Haven't seen a ton of it, obviously, because we're scheduling out into December right now. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Yeah, I guess Does anyone have any questions, I guess, so far? No? All right. That's fine. It's not super complicated by any means. Kind of the big reason I guess I started doing it was for USAA. Obviously a lot of the military people, you tell them a date, it's kind of set in their head to say that's kind of a firm kind of date in stone. And which obviously I think it worked for a lot of people. And obviously with these text messages, when they're getting these texts saying, hey, your vehicle is going to be ready on October 9th, and they see it multiple times, I feel like it's kind of ingrained in their head at that point. And hopefully by the time they get that survey, as long as we've kind of met this date and or beat it, they can answer that survey saying, yes, my car was done on time and or early. Especially after getting, several texts or emails saying, hey, yeah, this is your date. There's really no denying it or gray area at that point that, like some of the phone calls that you may get that may be a little wishy-washy. So we need to know who's using this so we don't change contact method to call back. Yes. So yeah, you can, I guess as we go, that is going to be kind of a question on which estimators might be using this and which aren't. That's probably going to be a conversation within the office and whatnot, as far as who's doing what, I guess, whether you're still keeping your updates through phone or if you are starting to use this new service. Yeah, Dan asked, what kind of feedback are you getting from customers in general? Overall, pretty good. I mean, it's probably a very, very small percentage that would actually maybe complain about it. I don't know if I've ever even had anyone complain about it. For the most part, pretty good. I mean, I think most of our, if you guys, most of us know that our doctor's offices, dental offices, most of the time are doing updates and repair or what do you want to call it? Appointment reminders through text and email, stuff like that. So I think a lot of people like that quick response. A lot of people like the quick updates rather than spending maybe a couple minutes on the phone with you. They got a quick update that says, hey, Lori, your car's gonna be done on October 9th. And she sees the update, great, I'm done. I don't have to pick up the phone or deal with anything, You are gonna have those old timers, I guess, that one either don't have a cell phone, which we still run into here and there, and only have a home phone, answering machine, stuff like that. So you do have to kind of obviously read your customers, ask them some questions of, what's going to work best for them. That's kind of that initial conversation during the initial estimate too. But like I said, I think the big thing too is just making sure kind of like USAA has always kind of coached us on these dates that, hey, they don't really care how far out the promise date is, just as long as the customers can then answer that question saying, hey, yes, the car was done on time and or early. So even though our dates might be a little far-fetched, I think trying to keep this somewhat, under promise. So we are pushing that repair date out. So that way the customer is looking that, we're going to under promise, over deliver. And then we are not constantly changing this date. I guess my perspective, I don't think it does happen. We do have to change it. But I think if it's something that you're changing multiple times on a single repair, obviously it's not going to look great in a customer's eyes. So if you can kind of keep that to a one and done, maybe two, I think it'll definitely help you guys for sure. And then, yeah, if it's customer pay and we don't update the repair dates as much, I still do these on customer pay jobs. I do them on every insurance. Doesn't really matter what it is. Like I said, the only time I won't do this option is if someone doesn't want it. So whether, like I said, it's an older generation that only has a home phone, or someone just would rather receive a phone call. So like I said, just the initial conversation up front.
What's your process on updating is it promise date or delivery date? What's the name of it?
Promise date, yeah.
What's your process on updating the promise date
I-
if you realize it needs to be updated?
Yeah, so I'll usually update this promise date when needed if we know we're going to extend it. Typically, once we've had a production meeting or hey, I just ordered a whole bunch of parts or a supplement and I know it's not going to make it. Typically, if it's just going to be like a day or two, I might just do it. I'll send the customer a notification, and I know if maybe by chatting with them, they've been fine in the past. Or if it's going to be a big change, typically I will give the customer a call stating, hey, Lori, hey, we just found additional damage. It's probably going to be another week in the shop. Your new ECD is now such and such, whatever it is. And in that way, when Lori does get that update email and or text, when I change this, that she's not surprised and all of a sudden calling into us wondering what's going on. Because this, without you sending her any kind of explanation of why, it's just a generic comment saying, hey, your ECD is now changed from October 9th to say October 20th. It's not going to give her any kind of explanation. So you probably got to do that. And probably the best bet is probably by doing that by a phone. And that's about it for the most part. Like I said, pretty simple for the most part. I've been using it for a couple of years now. Yes, it's not 100% perfect. You do have to watch those dates and make sure that you are kind of continuously checking that event log. But yeah, I think it does help, with how busy we've gotten and, how much more clerical work the insurance companies have put on us, that if you can save a few minutes a day, maybe by not making all these phone calls and you're continuously updating the customer and this doesn't really forget, which is a nice thing. So it's definitely been beneficial for sure. Anyone got any questions at all? Yes, Dave is asking, can customers respond back to you through the system as well? They can. I was hoping I'd find an example of some of my customers that did. But yes, they can. And it'll notify you usually in a little pop-up through CCC down your bottom right-hand corner of your screen, or it'll notify in your email too, saying, hey, Lori Smith has sent you an email or sent you an email through CCC and or text through CCC. You can click that, or you just go into the CCC file once you got notified, and it'll pop up right here in this screen right here. So it would show what Lori has asked or said in that area. And then also at the end of the job, you'll also, if they did and filled out that survey, you can see the survey and you click right in here too. I don't know if you guys ever seen that too. So. And then obviously if you've already selected text or email and Lori sent a question in to me through here, I can then respond and reply right back to her as well. And if you guys have any questions, later on, I guess too, if you start using this and you get some questions, feel free to reach out to say, like I said, I've been doing it for a couple of years for the most part. I've got most of it down, I think. So, but yeah, like I said, biggest thing I can just really, really push is just make sure those dates are realistic. Once I guess I will kind of let you know too, say this date for the 9th, say this repair goes to the 9th and we do not have it finished, Lori will not get any more updates through CCC unless we change this date. So say we don't get the car done till October 12th, the 9th is pretty much the last day. The 8th or 9th is probably the last day she would get a message unless we change this date. It just, the way the system works, obviously they don't send anything further other than what this promise date says. So once we pass this, she is no longer going to get anything else. If we did change it, even after the fact, so say we changed it on the 12th to update that, it would then change. But if you left it at that state, she will no longer get updated, if that makes sense to everyone. Uh, all right, so yeah, James says I've been using the feature on and off since it's implemented 10 years ago. One thing I haven't figured out is getting it to work for the insurance companies that are not part of CCC Update Plus. Cover that at the beginning. So yeah, like I said, I've been using this for customer pays and everything. And it's been working just fine and whatnot. So they may not get the survey and stuff that they may not get the survey that's at the end of the job, kind of like USA puts out. But as far as the generic updates, they should still be getting those. Okay. You're sending, yeah, saying you check back through all of yours and they're not sending it out.
Wait, would they?
Yeah, we can check and see, yeah, see what maybe the settings are set at. It might just be something as far as, yeah, okay. Dave's checking it out right now. He's gonna check, I guess, and see if there's some settings on your computer or whatnot, because it should do it for every single one. I think maybe it's just set on certain insurance companies or certain TRPs, but for the most part, it should be set for everything at this point. I guess that's it. Yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out at any point. Like I said, for the most part, pretty quick and simple. Yeah, I'll be here if you need me. Take care.